Welcome to another video. I'm going to try traditional sealed Neon Dynasty today. I've never played this before, I believe. So the big difference here, these are best of 3 matches. So we're going to be thinking about our sideboard a bit more and swapping cards in and out. Also, I've noticed there's a lot of variance in the prize money. So, and you can only have you get knocked out when you have 2 match losses, rather than sort of 3 best of 1 losses. So you potentially you lose quite a lot of. It costs you quite a lot of gems, but worst case scenario, 0 wins. You're still getting a total of 9 packs, and it's costing you 1,800 gems net. So it's it's basically 200 gems a pack. If we look at the store, I believe that is the price per pack in the store. The normal price should be 200 gems per pack. I think I'll just confirm that now. So it's worth doing. If you want to play Magic and you want to get some cards with your gems, you might as well do a sealed deck. You don't really lose anything. Yeah, if we just look at packs, 3 packs for 600 gems. So the rate is basically 200 gems a pack, and in fact it's you don't actually get a discount for buying more packs, funnily enough. Yeah. Right. I have played 2 regular Neon Dynasty sealed decks. I think I went even. I went about 50-50. I think I went 4 and 3, then 2 and 3. I had the last one. I had 2 Goros, so I built a deck around those guys. But that was the one that only went 2 and 3, so it didn't quite work out as I'd hoped. Right. I'm just going to check my recording as well. Check everything's fine. Yeah. Great. Okay, let's do it. I mean, I've got a decent number of gems now, so I don't mind spending a few. There's only 2 hours left for the sign up, so I thought it's a good chance, good opportunity to try this out before it goes away. And I've done about 4 Neon Dynasty drafts, so I'm getting familiar with the cards. I'm pretty familiar with them. Now, just looking at the rares here, I've spied the Mech Titan Core, which you need to exile it with 4 other artifact creatures or vehicles. Oh, so regular artifacts don't count, I guess. Do we have 4 other artifact creatures or vehicles in the deck? Because I see the Reckoner Bankbuster, so we've got 1. That's a fantastic card. So we're definitely playing that. Can we play a Mech Titan Core on its own? It's a 2/4 with crew 2. That's its floor. So it's not that bad. Well, it's kind of bad. It's 2 mana and it's crew 2. So I think I definitely want to play this, but if we're going to just have to see how many, do a vehicle and artifact count, and hopefully we'll have a few pilots as well. So there's a lot. It's a very conditional kind of card. So when you do use it, you get a 10/10. That's all colours: flying, vigilance, trample, lifelink, haste. Haste is very important. So interesting. So it's looking like a Mech Titan deck right from the outset. Now, Ryu Storm's Edge. Okay, we've used this guy before. This guy gives you an extra combat phase, yeah, which could be pretty nice with if you've got a mech titan. It could be doing 20 damage. In fact, no, that would only work if the mech titan was a samurai or a warrior, which it is not, sadly. Yeah, okay. So we'll ditch that idea. We still might play both of them. So this is a really, really good card, Restoration of a Ganjo. So you find it, first of all, it finds you a plains for 3 mana. So it's a bit of land. It's not mana fixing, but it's helping you hit your land drops. Then you can discard a card and put a. You may discard a card, and then you can put a 2 mana permanent into play. So you're either just getting something back for free, or you're getting something out from your hand that's 2 mana, a permanent from your hand that's 2 mana for free into the play. So that's pretty good. So even if you know it's too early in the game it's before anything's been killed, you can still get value out of that. And then it becomes this really good creature. So it's a 3/4 vigilance that makes tokens whenever it attacks or blocks. And I'm actually gonna pay attention to these attack triggers, because we do have Ryu Storm's Edge. Sometimes we get 2 attack phases, and we just got to remember it has to be a samurai or a warrior to get that second attack phase. Again, he's not a samurai or a warrior, so he doesn't. Unfortunately, he doesn't quite work. He doesn't get to attack twice with Ryu. Okay, now this guy, Shigeki Jukai Visionary. I've seen a few decks with this guy because he can, if you look at his channel, he can get multiple cards from your graveyard back to your hand, as long as they're non-legendary. So you can get instant sorceries, creatures, you can get anything you want back from the graveyard. So you just need another card, another that can return things from the graveyard, and then you can you've got a loop. Shigeki can bring back something that like a regrowth, or in this set you've got the turtle. I think he's in the uncommon slot for he's a green and blue flyer, but you can channel him to bring something back from the graveyard. So we'll see if we get a turtle, and then we've got a potential loop with Shigeki. His regular ability, so he bounces himself, and you put a land into play. So his regular kind of ability is he ramps lands out. So pretty nice. So between Eiganjo and Shigeki, we've got a couple of ways of sort of getting more lands out of our deck, which is quite cool. And then we've got Kotos, the Silent Spider. It's a legendary. It's got a enter the battlefield effect. You exile a card other than a basic land from the opponent's graveyard only. You search graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name as that card and exile them. Okay. It's not going to be that effective in sealed deck. It's pretty high variance. You're going to be pretty lucky to find multiple copies of a card that's going to make a big difference in the game. For as long as you control Kotos, you may play one of the exiled cards, and you may spend mana as though it was 1 mana of any card to cast it. So that makes it definitely playable. So even if it's only a one of that you get rid of from his deck, you can still cast it. So basically you can reanimate something from the enemy's graveyard, and it's an enter the battlefield effect as well. So it's kind of free. They can't really do much about it. Well, they can kill Kotos before you get a chance to cast it, I suppose. So that's basically that's going to be card advantage. as well. So yeah, we kind of want to play all of these. I guess Mech Titan Core is probably the weakest one, the most conditional one, which might not even be playable at all. But those all look pretty good. Right, I think yeah, first thing I'm gonna do, I basically I go through all the cards and I put any bombs in the deck. So anything that's giving me card advantage, that's, you know, on the board. You know, I mean, this one's just great. It's giving me potentially, it's basically a 3-for-1. So anything that's a 2-for-1 on the board or a 3-for-1 is pretty great. And when I say on the board, I mean there are some cards which will just say, you know, draw 2 cards for 2 mana. So it's not affecting the board situation. They're still good cards, but they're not, I wouldn't call them bombs necessarily. Right, so okay, so I'd say this is unplayable, but it goes in the sideboard. So yeah, we're looking for bombs, and I would say also removal cards. I really like this card. So this, it's cheap, and you can scry too straight away. I'm gonna add it. Arguably, it's not a bomb, but I'd say I would also add really cheap kind of draw smoothing cards as well. Those are fantastic. So that goes in as well. Okay, so this gets you, when you channel this, you get 2 1/1s. And its regular effect, you get +1/+1 for each creature or vehicle you control. So if you've been playing Magic for a long time, that's like a Keldon Warlord effect. That's quite powerful. But I think, yeah, the main thing is you can make 2 pilots, and they can power vehicles like as if they were 3 power. So I think that's like you get 2 creatures for 1, and it makes vehicles work for you. And we've got an interest in vehicles in this deck. That's quite nice. I like lifelink cards. He's quite cheap as well. Yeah, I don't like this one. Imperial Oath. So this is a 3-for-1, and you scry 3 as well. So it's a pretty strong card. But I think because it costs 6, I wouldn't put it under consideration right away. But it's very splashable, I suppose. Okay, wow. Just looking at the blue here, what catches my eye? 3 Armguard Familiars, which they are all artifact creatures. They could potentially all contribute to my Mech Titan core, which is quite interesting. But we won't put them under consideration just yet. Moonstone Prototype. So technically, this is quite interesting. Late game, this is a removal card. You can bounce something, and your opponent chooses to put it on the top or the bottom of their library. So it's it's a removal card. In fact, yeah, I might just put that in because I'm curious about any removal, any direct removal we've got. Even though it's pretty expensive. It's 5 mana. And yeah, if you notice in white, we didn't get any removal cards apart from Lucky Oath, which doesn't really count. Right, here's an example. So this is a card draw. Draw 3 and then discard 2 unless you discard an artifact. So we won't put that under consideration just yet because it's a really good card draw card. It looks like we've got well, yeah, we've already got 5 artifacts in blue. So yeah, that's definitely going to be quite playable. Now this lets you. Oh, this is it. This could even be playable. This game, you have to sacrifice an artifact or creature, and then you search for equipment or vehicle card. And we do have a couple of very strong vehicles. This could find our Mech Titan core. And it's quite a cheap card, it's 2 mana. So if you sack something that was 3 mana, you get to scry 2. So it's interesting. It might be the first time I ever bother playing this card because I've actually got some decent vehicles to look for. But we're not going to put that in the deck because it's what I'd call a combo card. It's only good. You need other cards to make that a good card. We're looking for things that are good on their own, such as this card here. Behold the Unspeakable. So this is absolutely fantastic. Maybe the best uncommon in the set. So we've got 1. First of all, creatures you don't control get -2, -0, so it can just stop you getting killed straight away. Then you draw a bunch of cards, and then it becomes a big flying creature. Flying and trample it has as well. It's got power and toughness for each card in your hand, so that's fantastic. And we've got Replication Specialist as well, just one of these. This I think I'll include this one as well because we do have a lot of artifacts, and this can just be late game value. You can just copy all of your artifacts as they come into play. So I think that's pretty fantastic. Right. So it's interesting. We've put in 4 blue cards, 3 white cards. So yeah. I feel like definitely Restoration of Aganja is our best white card. And we don't have any white removal. I guess we've got a kind of a solid creature base with white. We've got 3 2-drops. We've got a 3-drop there, and we've got a vehicle if we want to go in that direction. We've got this late game kind of bomb. Dockside Chef. That is card draw. That is sort of, and you're getting to draw multiple cards potentially with that. I'm going to go ahead and put that under consideration because that could end up drawing you loads of cards during the game if your opponent can't deal with it. We've got Dokuchi Silencer, so this is he's removal. You do have to discard a creature card, but then you can destroy any of his. So that's fantastic. We consider that one. Lethal Exploit. Removal card. That just goes straight in. This is fantastic. Life of Toshiro Umezawa. So, in particular, I like the fact that you can just do -1/-1 to a creature in the first 2 steps. But even if they don't have anything you can ping off the board, you've got other options. You've got life gain, or you've got a +2/+2. You probably usually go for the +2/+2. So that's really great. Black's looking fantastic so far. It's an additional cost. You sacrifice an artifact or a creature. You gain life equal to the
permanent's mana value and draw 2 cards. So that, yeah, that's just a card draw card. We're not going to consider that at the moment. We return to action. So creature gets +1/0, gains lifelink. When it dies, return it tapped to the battlefield. I mean, that's pretty good. I would call that a combat trick. It's something that can save one of your creatures and potentially trade up with an enemy blocker or something you're blocking. So I'd call it kind of a conditional removal card. So it's not quite good enough to consider at the moment. Chain Flail Centipede, right? Another artifact creature. If we're going artifacts, pretty nice, but we don't put it in there. Okay, this Debt to the Kami. Interesting. Okay, well this is a removal card, and if we're playing black, it's looking like we've got several removal options, and that makes this even stronger. But yeah, the rule is it's removal, so we consider it. Even if your opponent's getting to choose what they remove, that's pretty good. Okay, card discard. I don't really value these cards. It's discard is very high variance, as we say, so it might be fantastic. It might be a dead card. Gives ninjas and rogues menace as well, so it's a bit of evasion as well. Do we have many ninjas and rogues is the question. Probably not. Yeah, a handful, I would say. Reckoner Shakedown. So this is, discard. You can choose the card they discard. And if you don't, you get some upside. You get 2+1/+1 counters. That one's definitely higher value than Kotos Pursuit, isn't it? Not sure I'd call that. Well, maybe we call that a removal card because it's we are getting to choose the card they get rid of, and there's some upside if we don't hit anything. Assassin's Ink is just a removal card. Fantastic. Oh my god, I've just seen. We have 3 Twisted Embraces. They're all removal. Bam, bam, bam. Mukotai Ambusher. I see a lot of people playing this in draft. 3/2 lifelink with ninjutsu. That's an artifact as well. Pretty nice. I think we'll come back to that later. Kami of Restless Shadows. So that's a 5-drop, which it gives you, I suppose, a bit of card advantage. You can get a ninja or rogue back from your graveyard. I think because it's card advantage, I'm gonna actually consider that as well. Okay. So black is absolutely looking incredible. Let's count the removal cards. 3, 4. We'll count this one as well. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's literally got 10 removal cards. We're definitely playing black. Right. And because we've got all that removal, the Depths of the Kami, the weakest removal card, actually gets better. Right. Now, let's have a look at red. So, Experimental Synthesizer. This is a good card. This gives you card advantage because it's potentially a 3-for-1. You potentially exile a card and play it. You turn it into a 2/2 token, and when it leaves play, you exile a card and play it. So potentially a 3-for-1, and it's very cheap as well, and it's an artifact, so we'll just consider that. Kumano Face. This one's really good. I'm just wondering. don't know if you call this a 2-for-1. You get to boost one of your creatures, I suppose. I think it's probably unlikely. Yeah, if you've got a lot of really good red cards, we've actually got a Reinforced Ronin as well. That's pretty nice. Yeah, I don't think I'll consider that at the moment. Reinforced Ronin's pretty nice. Right. Dragon Spark Reactor. Works with an artifact theme. Works fantastically, in fact, with Reinforced Ronin. I guess we've only got one of each. So yeah, you get a token every time you play an artifact, and then you can do a big burn spell. So it costs 2 to put out, 4 to actually sacrifice it. It's quite expensive, but potentially it's going to do a big chunk of damage. It's going to take out a creature and do direct damage to the player. So that's definitely, we consider that one. This is fantastic. Tempered in Solitude. It goes well with our rare Samurai, who can give you an extra attack phase. You could actually trigger this twice. It's got a similar effect to Experimental Synthesizer. You exile a card off the top, but it happens whenever a creature attacks alone. So it just gives you card advantage every turn. You can attack alone and still, play the card off the top. Fantastic. Right, Unstoppable Ogre. Yeah, it can make something unable to block. So, and it's another artifact creature. Yeah, but it's not what I'd call removal. It removes a blocker, I suppose. Now, Kami of Industry. Return an artifact with mana value 3 or less to the battlefield. It gains haste, and then you sacrifice it. I'm gonna consider this. This gives you card advantage as well. Particularly good, I think, with maybe an Experimental Synthesizer. Although let's be fair, it's an expensive card. It costs 5. The chance, yeah, your chance of getting much value out of the Synthesizer is quite low. You're going to have to spend, and you'd have to spend a lot of mana to get much out of a Dragon Spark Reactor. You'd need 9 mana up to, and you'd need a way of putting tokens on there. So it doesn't really work with the Reactor. I guess it's more like you could get your Reinforced Ronin back. Beginning of your end step, you return it to your hand. What does it say here? Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. I wonder, how does that work? Can I choose to bounce my Reinforced Ronin before it gets sacrificed? That's a good question. So I don't think this card is that good. Just because because it's so expensive. It is a bit like the black card I put in. That's the fight, yeah, Kami of Restless. It's a Kami, basically. And that bounces something back to your hand. So the problem with this one, it comes into play, but then it gets sacrificed. So it kind of... and you've already spent 5 mana, so if it's one of these artifacts you have to activate with more mana, it doesn't quite work. But yeah, I think so. I don't think we'll consider that one. Right, Shattered States era. Yeah, this one's pretty good. I see a lot of people playing this against me. It's not quite a removal card. It's just it's a good way to finish the game. But it, you get to remove a creature for 1 turn and then attack with it. It's really good in a combo with something like Reckoner's Bargain. So you sacrifice the creature that you steal. In fact, we've got 2 sacrifice guys. We've got Dockside Chef as well. So it's a good potential combo card, but I don't think we consider it. Right, on to green. We've got the Shigeki Jukai Visionary, who's fantastic. So he's definitely card advantage. Now Bamboo Growth Archer, that's definitely good. You can use that as a removal spell to kill flyers. This is a nice cheap Death Touch. So I consider a cheap Death Touch is kind of like a removal card, I suppose. So I could sort of consider that, but then maybe it's on the same level as a combat trick, because it's conditional removal. It's if you get to block an enemy with it. So maybe we don't look at that one as being a top tier card. Right, Careful Cultivation. Right, you can channel that to make for 2 mana, basically to make a mana creature. It just adds greens. It doesn't fix mana, but it sort of helps you ramp your mana out, which could be quite important. And it's got another option where you can give something reach, and also becomes it adds 2 green. I think I'm gonna put that under consideration. I think that's actually not bad. Reach is very important. A lot of games are decided by who has the flyer, and it also is a ramp card, so it's covering a lot of bases. Grafted Growth, so that's quite a nice mana fixer, and it gives you a counter. I think it's not amazing, but because it's a mana fixer and it looks like we're playing sealed, we're going to play more than one colour. We will consider that. Yep, just a creature there. This guy's got reach, as I say. I think any way of getting reach is quite powerful. That said, I should probably be including any flying creatures as well. I'll just go back and see if I've missed any flying creatures. There is this dragonfly suit, I suppose. I don't like vehicles that much, because it gives your opponent gets to just, okay, I'm not going to kill your vehicle, I'm going to kill your crew, so you can't use it. But it's probably a good idea to get an idea of how many flyers we've got. So that is technically a flyer. I guess we've the other flyer we've got is Behold the Unspeakable and Replication Specialist. Right, so I've decided, so we're going to consider these reach creatures. The Webspinner Cuff. Boseiju eventually comes out and it has reach, and it helps you hit your late game land drops, because it does cost 4 mana. Yeah, pretty decent. Favor of Jukai also gives things reach, and you can channel it. Yeah, that's pretty good. So it's, only costs 2 mana. Geothermal Kami. Right. This is pretty huge, because ordinarily I wouldn't consider this, but we've actually got 3, no less than 3 Twisted Embraces, a removal enchantment, and which we can bounce back with Geothermal Kami. So I think it's sort of looking like black-green right now, even though we do have some good white, some good blue cards. We maybe don't have enough good white, blue, and blue cards. You sort of got like 3 or 4 in the other colours, and it's looking like green's got a lot of reach cards and ramp cards as well, and a Shigeki that can just potentially just bounce back all my removal from the graveyard. Jukai Preserver, that's pretty good. So it's like a creature, but also a combat trick. So I don't know if we consider that, just because it's not it's like a combat trick level of removal. So I think we'll just skip that for the moment. Greater Tanuki is absolutely fantastic. It actually, so it's only because of the channel you get to. It's a mana fixer, so you can find the land that you need for 3 mana. So that definitely always gets included. And then yeah, so we're actually we've gone through our colours, and I guess we'll add these really strong multicolored cards here. So yeah, he's definitely going to be pretty good. He's a flyer as well. That's a card advantage card. Oh, Oni Cult Anvil. Wow, so that's another way of sacrificing things. Well, so you can sacrifice an artifact. I'm just trying to think if it's going to work with our. It'll work with Shattered States Era if I gain control of an artifact creature, which, you know, there's quite a few. We've actually got 2 Oni Cult Anvils as well. That's pretty amazing. And I thought I was going to be playing black-green. Maybe I can play black-green-red. Well, we're going to have a difficult decision, it's looking like. There's our Rise Storm's Edge. I'm going to just include all of these lands, so I've got them sort of all in one place to look at. Secluded Courtyard, that's quite a nice mana fixer. You just, well, for creatures, it doesn't actually, yeah, the important thing, there are some important double casting cost things, which it doesn't help us with, like Assassin's Ink, Twisted Embrace, Behold the Unspeakable. It does help with Greater Tanuki and Kotos and Mechanaut, but it doesn't help get the Oni Cult Anvil out. So it doesn't help with everything. But I'll just include that as well. And then we look at our common and uncommon artifacts. So this could sway things quite seriously. There is another page of them. Yeah, so that's the nice little +1/+1 counter. So the thing I like about Iron Apprentice, he's very cheap, comes into play, and he's modified. He's got a +1/+1 counter. That's the good thing about him. If you're playing a deck that cares about modify, it's quite nice to have one of these or one or more. We like artifact creatures, don't we? So it's quite nice to have that guy, and he can ramp out artifacts. Then we've got our Mech Titan core. So yeah, artifact creatures are what fuel the Mech Titan core. So I'm just going to go ahead and put all these artifact creatures in. 2 Papercraft Decoys, the Reckoner Bankbuster, 2 Brute Suits, Rato Sentinel, 2 Dramatist Puppet, Steel Colossus. Okay, that's all of our artifacts. Are we going to play an artifact deck? I think I'm going to just take out some of these. Yeah. That's really expensive. But we can get Thundersteel Colossus out with Anchor to Reality. And it's got haste. That's a pretty good deal, isn't it? And if you're doing the artifact strategy and you draw Anchor to Reality, then you've got a very good chance of getting this out and hitting with it. But well, I'll take these artifacts out again because basically they're not removal cards, and they're not bombs that are giving me lots of card advantage. This is quite nice. So yeah, if you have 2 mana up when it dies, you can get a card, but it's just sort of replacing itself. Yeah, Mech Titan core. You can get quite easily distracted by Mech Titan core and think about how wonderful it'd be if you could just actually use it, but getting 4 artifact creatures and vehicles into play, that is quite a task, I would say. It means I'm going to have to really ignore all of the other good cards, like the 3 Twisted Embraces in the deck, and play loads and loads of artifacts. I think it's looking like we probably won't go for the artifacts. So really the best artifact is Reckoner Bankbuster. It's just like a really nice card draw card. And yeah, just take out Lion Apprentice as well. There we go. So we've got these 57 cards under consideration. That's including the basic lands it's just given me. So probably 17. So. Right, I've got some choices to make here. So I think, on balance, I'm going to look at the green-black deck first. So unfortunately, yeah, we have to say goodbye to some really good cards. Look at that. Perfect. It puts us at 40 cards. And we've got every... well, we've got all of the green and black cards we were going to consider. What would the land look like? We drop that one, that one. Maybe use a Secluded Courtyard. So the trouble is, yeah, as we said, Secluded Courtyard, it only helps to get creatures out. So, like if we're stuck for double green, for Greater Tanuki, I feel like we're probably better off without Secluded Courtyard. Right. Pretty nice. So there is a very heavy kind of bias towards removal spells. So we'll just see if have we got any creatures in the deck at all. So we've got 9 creatures. If we've got any Saga enchantments, all of those count as creatures as well. Got 2 Sagas, so we've got basically 11 creatures. We also have a vehicle, so maybe like 12 creatures. It is a pretty low creature count. So it's going to feel maybe a bit more like a control deck that sort of sits back, doesn't do much, but blows up every creature my opponent tries to play. Until I get like some kind of decent threat out. It's worth just going back and looking at green-black cards. So yeah, there's just a few to look at here. So of the green cards, the one I definitely want to put back in is Jukai Preserver. And at this point, we think about what's the weakest card in the deck that I'm probably going to look at taking out. So I'm just questioning whether I'm going to use my Dockside Chef that much, but when I'm actually low on creatures, I don't think I have any sort of creature generation. I can't sort of make tokens with anything. It makes 1 token. I think, yeah, Favor of Jukai maybe gets dropped. I think we probably want another creature instead of that. So we get, yeah, that's where the Jukai Preserver comes in. Kami of Restless Shadows is pretty expensive. Do we have any ninjas or rogues at the moment? One ninja. Because we've got Dokuchi Silencer, of course. We definitely would be considering Mukotai Ambusher. That definitely seems to be a really good card. I don't think we do this one. I don't think we do Chainfell Centipede. I don't think we do Reckoner's Bargain. No, and I don't think we do Return to Action. So we'll just try and find. We'll see if we can get a Mukotai Ambusher in. I think, yeah, Fang of Shigeki is pretty good. It might sort of a question: do we want Fang of Shigeki or a Dockside Chef? Yeah, so we'll definitely drop a Kami of Restless Shadows. So it's a choice between Fang of Shigeki or Mukotai Ambusher at this point. Look at the curve, I think. Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you what, I've got quite a lot of removal in the deck already. I feel like I don't need a Death Touch 1/1. As nice as they are, probably don't need it. I think this is a pretty great card to have. It's nice to use ninjutsu. A good one thing is, of course, I'm just thinking of what's a really great thing to ninjutsu back to my hand. Probably this one. Once this guy turns into a creature, you can then play it again and go through the first steps of the saga again. That would be really fantastic. And of course, yeah, if you've got two ninjutsu guys, you can chain ninjutsu, which is pretty handy. This could go back to the. Oh no, it can't go back to the hand because it's got defender, of course. So yeah, we know about this guy. Interesting. You could actually, because once you've drawn all the charge counters off the Reckoner Bankbuster, it doesn't blow up. It's still a 4/4 vehicle. You could actually bounce it back to your hand and replay it. Get a few more counters. You know, it's still if your 4/4 creature is getting through, you're probably winning. Still, not always nice to draw a few more cards, I suppose. So I think we'd have a lot of removal, and Dynasty Kami is definitely our weakest removal card, just because the opponent gets to choose. It is nice to get rid of enchantments with exile. So my feeling would be, yeah, we've only got sort of 10 creatures plus 2 sagas at the moment. I'm even thinking drop both Dynasty Kami. It is really good the more removal I've got. But maybe it's still not that good. And his Reckoner Shakedown, I guess, it's pretty good. You've got that. Even if you don't hit anything, you've got some compensation. I think potentially we drop a Grafted Growth for another creature. It's quite nice mana fixing, but we're only playing 2 colours. We do have a Geothermal, not a Geothermal Kami. What we're talking about? We've got 1 Greater Tanuki as a mana fixer. We've got. I guess we've got some card draw effects as well. So I'd consider just dropping that. It could be a neat way of getting to double black. We've got these 4 double black cards. We can consider just dropping that. I think what we were doing, we were looking at creatures that would be really good to ninjutsu. I suppose Boseiju, pretty good. Get even more forests out of the deck. But again, if it's getting through, hitting someone for about 6 damage, you're probably not really wanting to bounce it back just to get some forests. Geothermal Kami, on the other hand, is pretty fantastic. If that's getting through, and you can use it to bounce another Twisted Embrace, you're definitely doing well. So yeah, the thing about Twisted Embrace, you need a creature in play for it to actually work. So I think dropping Debt to the Kami, try to get some more creatures in the deck seems good. I don't know if you can really rely on Saga creatures that much. I've got a couple of these Sagas, and they take a little while to actually come out. That's why I'm not the biggest fan of Boseiju, because it's already 4 mana to play it, and he's only a creature on turn 6. But yeah, still, it lets you thin out your deck quite nicely. So we've just dropped 3 cards, and we've dropped Grafted Growth, 2 Debt to the Kamis. So the creatures are, we want to put more creatures in. The ones on offer, we've got Chainflail Centipede. We're not super excited about that one. Got to be honest, but maybe it's not too bad. It is a 3-drop. If we just look at our curve now, got a 1-drop, got 6, 3, 9. It's got loads of 4-drops. So maybe a 3-drop is actually what we need. I think we can go, Heir to the Ancient Fang's pretty nice. I have to do a sort of a modify check and just see, do we have ways of modifying? How many ways do we have? We've got a Jukai Preserver, so that's 1. Twisted Embrace, that's 3 more, that's 4. Equipment Creature, 5. That's another Aura, that's 6. Counters, that's 7. That also is a modify payoff card, Lethal Exploit. So by my count, we've got 7 ways of modifying things, which seems pretty good. I think a 3/4 for 3 mana's pretty good, and we need more things in the 3-drop sort of area. We need more creatures and more ways of modifying things, so that's an argument for Chainflail Centipede, who's another 3-drop. So I think he makes the cut. He makes it into the deck. And 1 more creature, Fang of Shigeki. a second 1-drop would be nice as well. So there we go. We've upped our creature count, 13 creatures and 2 saga creatures. So 15 creatures. Yeah, that seems maybe about right. Okay, so it's a deck with a really serious amount of removal. But yeah, that seems to make sense. Okay, so yeah, I am wondering about Chainflail Centipede, but sometimes you just need creatures in the deck. I don't know if we want to put Kami of Restless Shadows in as well. We now have 2 ninjas, I believe. We even have 3 ninjas. Is it suddenly worth playing Kami of Restless Shadows? And more to the point, can we take anything out to play it? And do we just swap it for a Chainflail Centipede? Because it's a 2/2 for 3, really. It's not very inspiring. Maybe it's best when you equip it to a flyer, or a trampler. So you've got some evasion. I think we're quite low on evasion. That's like one of our weaknesses. What we're just trying to do is blow up all of our opponent's creatures and get through that way. He's got trample, so okay, I don't feel too bad about dropping Chainflail Centipede and putting Kami of Restless Shadows in. Okay, so yeah, it's 1 less 3-drop. We've only got 4 3-drops, but we put in a card that can give us some card advantage and bring back a ninja. So our ninjas are Dokuchi Silencer, Mukotai Ambusher, but which other one? Believe it or not, Fang of Shigeki is a snake ninja, as well as being an enchantment creature. There you go. So, could bring back a Death Toucher. Nice. Now, do we feel really bad about leaving out any of these cards? No. It's good. Maybe a good sideboard card. Maybe if they've got some really some bomb enchantments, like, for example, the one that I've got. They've got Behold the Unspeakable in their deck. That's when we sideboard deck to the Kami in, I think. So we'll start thinking about the sideboard. It doesn't give you a sideboard option. I guess all of this is your sideboard, really. Grafted Growth, I think, because I'm only playing 2 colours. I need more creatures in the deck. I don't think I can drop a creature for this. It does give you modify, yeah, and it is ramp as well. But I don't feel good about dropping another creature in favour of Jukai. Again, it's not a creature. It's an aura or a combat trick. I feel like we've got the right balance of creatures to modify effects. Yeah. Maybe could be an argument we could cut a land, but I don't feel too good about doing that. I think the tricky thing, right? Most of our double colour is in black, so that's why you'd probably go 9 swamps. But our mana fixing is in green. But I think it's only 1 mana fixing card, Greater Tanuki. Okay. And that's definitely the wrong picture for the deck.
guess it's another one of these decks, a Twisted Embrace deck, basically. Right, I think I'll call that end of part 1. Now, I'm going to think about the deck, have a look at these cards. It might be completely changed in part 2. I might have decided to go artifacts with only Cult Anvil, because there's definitely a pretty sweet artifact deck in these cards as well. Alright.